So this is a very enthusiastic, you can say great leap and great opportunity as well as great challenge. So huge things has to be done. There are a lot of stakeholders. We heard many 10 lakh teachers we are short of. And our schools, we have all type of schools. I come from a village, and last year I just visited my village, and I just saw the school, what kind of a school, and that school which I have gone. And I was amazed what was there in 1970s when I used to go. Now it has become only most of the teachers busy in providing foods to the kids. So, out of the 8 teachers, 3 teachers' duty was just to share food and all, taking those responsibilities. Anyway, I can understand the kind of things, So we need to streamline. This is a very high time. So that's why this is the very great step, very radical, very revolutionizing step taken by the government right now. I will say it is happening since 2015, then 2019, the draft came, and finally the report came. So there is a huge, we all know human capital is very important and nothing can be achieved. So we are living in a very, different kind of era, called knowledge era, and where skill and competencies are becoming relevant by a drop of hat. So what are the shelf life of the skill and even knowledge, I can't say, but competency. So what we know today, tomorrow it is not going to be relevant. So of course the challenges are huge worldwide because the rule of the game is changing very fast. We are living in a business environment, a business society, which is changing very fast. So this is also reality. So education has to go with your overall ecosystem. We can't say education itself. So education, or we talk about health or anything, for any society, education is the backbone of any society. Like I say, it is at the same time, it is very important to have re-evaluation, continuous benchmarking, and identifying it as a vehicle of providing true quality of life, like what we are envisaging here. Most of the policy, as a student, when I was there, I remember during my master or PhD days at BHU, we used to see, so either you talk about National Commission of Labor, you look at the Towards Equality Report 1970 for Emancipation of Women, or NEP came in 1986. All these good works have been done. And believe me, I was really, happy to see that the kind of words which has been introduction, it is really, that nothing has been left, look. So if you look at any policy, you will find plenty of contradiction and all in any policy. So I'm not going to do, this is very common, right? So that is, the most important thing is the whole idea is the different stakeholder, how they are going to play up, like the question session was being talked about self-financing and the regulation, NCAAA, where we say, the NCAAA, those is colleges which have 3.4 or something out of 4, less than that, they can't do open line courses, right? They can't conduct. Now we are living in digital kind of forced environment where we don't have a choice. So, these are the anomalies which we need to rectify, right? But how we are going to do, there is a huge, all shades of things here. We have world-class institutions. And then we have a lot of challenges which I referred to you as schools, in my village. So in that background, the NEP giving you a fresh light, right? So it came on, of course, coming very fast, July 29. I was just reading today, they are asking all these state commissions, education research, SCRT, and district level, the IITs, to go through all school principals and then teachers to conduct WhatsApp meeting or video conferencing and upload your feedback on the NEP within August 24 to August 31. It is today's news. I was just reading. It is very fast. We should have given a little more time. It is my feeling. But anyway, let's see how it, basically it is the flow and how things move. This is very important. But anything done in hurry is not good, which is my feeling, right? I'm not, little cautious, But at the same time, the idea which is generated here, believe me, nothing, it is not short of everything has done. So education has been, like we talk about, like India-centric education system, and we are transferring all sustainability into equitable and vibrant India, which we are talking about. And if you look at the introduction part, page 3 of this, NEP is talking about achieving all full human capital potential, developing a very equitable and just society, which we have been talked about. Promoting national development across regional balances and all we are talking about. Then at the same time, it aims to provide universal access to quality education, because we have a lot of dropout rate of kids and all. So that is the key, and how we can take over that. And it also talks about all its economic growth. So of course, like education as a vehicle, social justice, scientific advancement, national integration even, and leadership on the global stage, like we talk about. We want to be superpower of the, knowledgeable society. So we want to, nobody to be none. So, we have that kind. India, in fact, page 6 talk about this policy, say, making India, I'm just quote unquote, making India a global knowledge superpower. So that's the objective of this NEP. Very, very, I can say, really, it is very aspiring, but at the same time, so we have to work hard if you want to achieve that. If we are talking making India a global knowledge superpower by 2030 or 2040, so we have to be realistic in terms of that, what steps we are doing, and what kind of infrastructure we have got. We have committed 6% of our income to that, which has been 4 point something earlier. How we are going to distribute most of the industrial country, if you look at, the elementary education, they put, and the higher education, 2:1 ratio, that is the budget. So how we are dealing? Here is the huge, the higher education is, we have cut off, in coming years. There is, I don't want to, put data here to make, I'm just providing you a basic idea what kind of context and what kind of challenges, and then I will go into creating. So like we just talked about, these are the wonderful word about NEP. I have never seen, the earlier report and all. So it talks about developing education system by 2040. Of course, it's talking about providing all kind of best education. And it talks about major reforms in terms of quality, equity, and integrity into the system. These are very key words. So quality of education, which we are talking about. And when you talk about quality, I don't know. Quality is a finish line without a race. It is a kind of race. Quality control word also being used. I just Google, I find, there is there. Control F, I put into draft. So I saw there is a quality control, accountability. That also the report is talking. The policy is talking. So quality is something which is a race against, without a finish line. So I don't know. Quality resides in mind. So what is quality or good? So what is good according to you? When I have my own good. So of course there are different regions, different states, different type of schools. Right from we know in India that there is a 70% higher education is in private sector. 40% schools are private sectors in India. And then we commit here in this policy that we are not going to promote, commercialization of education. Can you think of what is going? So we have put broken UGC. I am UGC net qualified, and I have gone to UGC. Prior Dr. Rakesh was referring when I qualified, but I qualified when early, and I had the opportunity to visit and having a good time with the, in Delhi. So, talking about regulation, accreditation, and talking about those grant promoting bodies, and then overall consents. So there are a lot of bodies which will take shape. So that time will tell. We don't know. It is very difficult. But we have to put these houses in order. Really, it's a big challenge. And this is great opportunity for the government and especially all educational administrators. In fact, the policy said teachers lies at the center stage of all this policy execution. I differ here. I say not teachers. It is educational administrators, policy makers, or executors. You understand? They are at the center stage of these success of these policies. They can make or break it. So it depends on how they are moving it in right direction. So that's why we're talking about how they are going to curb. Like page 48 of our policy, we talk about curbing commercialization of education. And to stop, they say key priority will be to adopt the regulatory system. They talk about light but tight. Wonderful word. They talk about in the, I'm just page 48, I'm referring. So as I can say, there is no room for profit entity. So I don't know what will happen to all business, houses who have started. I taught in Delhi in ILM, New Delhi Lodi Road, this Usha Group. So all big houses jumped into creating universities. Still you find Jindal, ABB. You will find in Delhi or all over the world. So I don't know how they are going to deal with that challenges. Like I say, 70% higher education and these challenges and all. And they say it can't be run for a profit entity. So it has to be done. So that commercialization, I don't know how going to be checked, how it is going to be negotiated. But we need, of course, participation of private sector. But private sector is not a profit oriented, like what is happening in US now. If you move on a road, you have to pay $10. If you go, even the jails are privatized and all. So sometimes I used to visit my son there, and so believe me. So we used to see, we are good in India. Oh, of course, our roads are broken, but somehow we are also bringing PPP here in many sectors. That is a different issue. I'm not going into that. So we shouldn't have this. I'm happy at least the commercialization in education, we have stopped. I'm very happy. And I salute all those policy makers and to go into, unless they change or they do something, there. So I am really happy for this because education is the most important thing. So here they talk about major reform. They talk about building character, like we just talked about the morning. Any education, like there are 3 keywords. They are given like Gyan, wisdom, which is very important. So your education, knowledge and wisdom, and then truth, satya. So these are 3 keywords used. I add 4th, which is justice, because justice is very important. Without having a good justice system, because of course satya itself is a form of justice, nyaya. But I feel, so any good system and all, that's in the commercialization, there is no room there. So that's what exactly on page 3 our report say. The education must build character. Our student is enable our learners to be ethical, very important present time. So rational, having compassion and caring. These are very loaded words. If we achieve 50% of these words, what does it mean here? Oh God, we reach somewhere else, because at the same time providing gainful and fulfill employment. I'm going to focus little on that, but before that I will talk about little more about these policies and all, because they are talking in the background of the job market. We see what is happening worldwide or even in Indian. Of course, I'm not talking about the COVID scenario now, otherwise as well. So, it is creating people. So there is going to be prescribe less on content, more on practice, and putting people into more cognitive mode and critical solving mode. So that's the key issue, making them more multidisciplinary. All right. But of course, there is a balance of multidisciplinary. So somebody has said, in Lucknow, there is a big Kumar Barabankwi, there used to be a poet. He says in Urdu or Hindi, he says, had se badhe to ilm, had se badhe ilm. If it goes beyond limit, ilm means education. To hai jahal dosto, jahal means jahalat. To hai jahal dosto, illiteracy. सब कुछ जानते हैं, वो कुछ जानते नहीं. सब कुछ जो जानते हैं. So he's a style he's talking about. So you have to make a good way. This is the Kumar style of saying master of none, jack of all trade. So multidisciplinary, yes, but we have to make a fine-tuned balance to see how it is going to work. And then it's talking about of course changing scenario, like in the labor market we are talking about, how you are going to deal with all these new issues. So there is a very fancy words being used: big data, machine learning, artificial intelligence. All these words have got a space in this policy, which is wonderful, and that will create more and skills. So how we are going to digest all those, how we are going to create employment for them. And the most important thing that report will achieve, I think, to push, of course it will flow, it will take time. Any report you can't say in 5 years, this kind of thing. It takes a generation to pass through. 20 years, last 20 years, I am teaching in Middle Eastern countries here, teaching Arabs, being a non-Arab. And I have earlier my 10 years, 15 years I have been in India. I was teaching Delhi 6 years, 10 years around in India. So, I mean, I have seen I can compare and I can see it is very small times. We can't say it will take time, which is most of the people here, like you just talking about earlier as well. So new pedagogy is of course very important here, which is talking about more holistic, more experiential, putting more, like you said, talk about rather than less on content, less PG on the bag but it is more application. But you need resources, you need infrastructure, you need trained workforce, people, because who makes schools? Schools principal, your good teachers, resources, and good administrator. And teachers, I was just reading, and this is our report which I was reading, which is we have 10,000 BEd schools, Teacher Education Institute, they call TEIs, and they are not attempting any serious education, teacher education. This is not my word. They are selling degrees for a price. This is not quote unquote. This is the NEP 2020, page number 42. They say over 10,000. This is the finding of J.S. Verma Commissions, 2012, considered by Supreme Court. So this is the how higher education. So look, we need to redefine our teachers. You have to generate a supply chain of teachers. Good teacher makes a good student, and the teacher who learns, they can make. So these are the challenges we're saying. So then the critical thinking and multidisciplinary, what we are talking about, innovations, all these big words, adapting, absorbing new material, very novel and changing field, all this possible. Of course, we have been doing. It is not that not happening in Indian schools. It is happening. But it is not happening in all schools. Like this is talking about 2040, we all have. So that's the big challenge, because we have got right to education in 2009, that act, and that force. So of course, putting child into some kind of schools, this is also primary responsibility. So here the good education, what the policy we define, which is wonderful, which I say, really I will put it here. And it is, even I put every time we need to practice. It is like something, a good education, I'm going to write a paper on that. And I will try to relate. She say every student feel welcomed and cared. So there should be no bullying and then by teacher and all kind of discrimination you have to remove, and especially of the mind. I'm not talking other discrimination. The discrimination of wisdom or knowledge, and also it should be accommodate all, even those who have little knowledge. So every student feel welcomed and cared. This policy talk about. It talk about safe and stimulating learning environment for a student. Number 3, talk about wide range of learning experiences. Wonderful. That is not rotten stuff and all. You go eat a lot and vomit next day and forget that. You ask what was the book, you say, yeah, it was yellow color, it was green color, like I always say. Most of my students are, good number of them, they are also like that. So that rotten and all, and we need, like you say, infrastructure, physical and appropriate resources. Like this is very important, and then we can do. Next important issue, which is, so this is great words. How we are going to execute, these are the challenges. So this has to be, if it is ensured, I can say 50% in 10 years. Believe me, India will be, I don't know where. 50% if we execute. Forget 100%, yeah, I will know. But even if 50% of these we execute in 50% of schools, 60% of school, we achieve in coming 20 years, which we are talking about 2040. It will be great achievement, great social service. The approach is also like, what we are talking here. Say, for example, the government want to get away from the coaching culture. This is very clearly they say. They talk about coaching. So everywhere India is like in coaching, all right? I go, I see my all nephew, niece and all, they are all busy in coaching. Right? So they have to do competitive examination. Many people pass, and they are every year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years. One of my niece, she was traveling, I don't know how many 100 kilometers. She was not sharing that information with me because I will not be happy. So the whole night, and then go and mock exam and all these, just to qualify his master.